Hello, I'm Hannah Kramer. I'm part of the team for the Smart Energy Analytics campaign, and welcome to our annual spring recognition. We're doing this as a webinar this year, and we're glad that so many folks can attend and all of our awardees can attend as well. So we're excited to announce this latest round of participants recognized by the campaign. Last year was our first year of awards. This is our second spring. And, you know, it's really great to be able to share such successful implementation of analytics. So you'll hear from everyone. I'll be giving introductions. But before we get to the awards, I'm going to do some real quick announcements for folks about the campaign. So we have a number of people on the call here that are not a part of the campaign yet. So I'll just give the very quick overview. The campaign serves buildings above 50,000 square feet or portfolios. We support energy information systems, fault detection and diagnostic systems, and helping people answer questions about installation and use and best practices and so forth. Right now we have 66 organizations totaling over 328 million square feet participating, which is really great, but we're looking for more. So we're looking for more participants. And we have a great group, and we want to add to that with your referrals, and we can set up a short introduction meeting to give them an overview if they're interested. We also have a supporting partner role, so if you're a monitoring-based commissioning service provider or EMIS vendor, we have a role for you as well. So you can contact us and learn more on the website. And so we have lots of benefits to participants, including technical assistance, and we have a FDD peer network webinar series that's been really successful. Quick announcement for participants of the campaign. It's really important that you've updated your participant actions forms and share your 2017 energy use by June 15th. So thanks for everyone who's done that already. And if you need help, please reach out to Claire. We'd be happy to help you. For a fun little incentive this year, we're going to enter everyone who has entered their data by June 15th into a drawing for a highly prized LB&L t-shirt or cap, and there will be 6 winners. So it's really important to have updated data for the second annual report. You may have seen the first report where we summarized all the findings about the industry and EMIS adoption and monitoring-based commissioning. We need more data this round, and we're going to update that report and get it out there for everyone. We need more energy savings, cost data, and it's really critical to make sure we have expanded results for our business case. So this is your chance to contribute with your experience with EMIS, and of course you can win a hat or a t-shirt, which is another bonus. Okay, so now on to the recognition. One benefit for those that are receiving awards is that they get a 2-page case study, which we call success stories, written about them. We have these all written for last year's winners, and we're almost complete with these next 5 winners that we'll be talking about today. Those will be up on the website next week. So these stories are really a great way to get a quick look at what the organizations are doing. We try to highlight really their key best practices, and you can get ideas on how your peers are implementing building analytics. So with this latest group, we'll have 14 available on the website, including market sectors, university, commercial office, hospitality, K-12 schools, and state and local government. So we're continuously expanding these success stories and hope you share them and find value from them. Last year's winners, just so you can see the range of winners we've had, the spring was existing EMIS in a number of categories, and the fall was newer expanded EMIS installation. So there are success stories written on each one of these. All right, so now we are here to our group of organizations that are being recognized today. We have a lot to learn from this group and their work in implementing analytics at their facilities, and we're very pleased to recognize their hard work. So I'll introduce each awardee and say a little bit about why they received their award, and then they will come in and be unmuted and give some color commentary on their approaches and what they feel has been most important in their implementation. Also at the end, we'll have time for Q&A. So as always, please submit questions at any point during the presentation via the chat function on your screen, and Elliot Crow will be gathering them and will ask the questions at the end. So get those chat questions in. So we'll start here with the University of Iowa, and Katie Rossman is representing them here today. So the University of Iowa received the award for Best Practice in the Use of FDD. We're really pleased to give them this award. They've implemented FDD and really, integrated it into their day-to-day O&M practices in really key ways. So originally they piloted an FDD software, and it helped them refine their approach. Then they added 20 buildings on their current software with KGS Clockworks, and now they're currently adding 29 more buildings this year. So they're doing quite a large installation. To date, they've had 5% whole building savings for these 20 buildings where FDD has been implemented so far. And, part of what they're doing also is focusing efforts on certain buildings, and where they've focused efforts, they've achieved 13 to 24% savings. So not only have they been doing best practice, but they've been seeing the results of that in their savings. One particular aspect of the implementation I wanted to note before handing it over to Katie is how they connect their work order management system with their FDD system. And the graph in the top right shows one of the outputs of the key performance indicators that they track through their work order management system. So they're able to track how many work orders are outstanding, what point in the process they are, and then also what percentage of the work orders are driven by FDD versus driven, in this case, the gray bar is corrective, so that's a non-FDD instigated work order. Sometimes those are more reactive, whereas FDD work orders are more proactive in detecting optimization opportunities. So this has been a really helpful way for them to track and connect it into their overall process. Related to that, they meet each morning to prioritize and coordinate their response to the FDD software recommendations. So they have a real workflow, and they've made it a part of their day-to-day operation. So I would say that's one of the key success factors, and they've really been able to see benefits very quickly. So congratulations to the University of Iowa. And with that, I'll hand you over to Katie Rossman, who is the Data Analytics and Commissioning Manager with the University of Iowa. Katie?
Hello. Let's see.
Hi.
Oh, here we go. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we got to where we are. It's been about let's see, now what that would be, 3-4 year journey to get here. And I would say one of the big choices that we made as an organization that I think paid dividends was doing a small pilot to work out some of the kinks and try to figure out what we wanted before we went out on the street for an RFP. And so I thought I would highlight a couple of the things that we learned through that pilot and hopefully provide some benefit to others that are out there looking at options. I think one of the main things we learned was the importance of enhancing your existing infrastructure and not duplicating, both on the controls side and leveraging what those tools are that you already have, but also on the metering and data point side. We tried really hard to utilize what data we already had instead of investing in additional infrastructure. One other thing that I think was sort of a journey to get there for us was to understand the skills that we have available in-house and capitalize on those. And then the things that maybe we weren't staffed up to support or didn't have the necessary expertise to try to partner with either an integrator who can help you set the software up to meet your needs, or sometimes with the software provider itself can provide that same service. That was a really big lesson learned for us in our pilot. Again, the involvement of IT really early has been critical. There are a lot of hoops to jump through with where software gets installed and how to make sure that your data is secure, and having IT at the table really early, and especially in the RFP development and selection process was very critical for us. And then finally, the part that I think is most crucial is to understand that your FDD software is only a tool. And the key to our success has actually been the people that work here at Iowa that have done a lion's share of the work. And they're here with me today to celebrate our awards, so I wanted to give them some recognition. We have both Jeff and Bob, who are our key technicians that are first responders to the analytics that come through, and they're crucial in getting things fixed and doing the heavy lifting on the troubleshooting. I have Scott Sellner, who's been with us from the very beginning, that helped with a lot of the controls mapping, and then also with developing of some of the rules when we were in the pilot stage. And then Tom Moore, who's been very crucial on the management side to help to lock together the analytics with a good workflow and process. So I think that having that team together has been really critical in our success. Can you go to the next slide? And finally, I wanted to highlight what we have next. So we have been so successful with these first 20 and developing a workflow that we're happy with, that we are actually moving towards onboarding an additional 29 buildings with the same FDD platform. And then we are always in the stage of ongoing improvement and finding ways to make our workflow plug into our existing management of maintenance tickets. So that's kind of something that we will always be doing, I feel, on our side. And then something that we talk about going forward is how to implement some of this FDD technology into new construction for improved commissioning outcomes and especially warranty management. There's a lot of kind of things to work out on the contract and construction schedule side, but that's where we hope to be in the future. And that's all I have. Thanks very much for the recognition. It's been a long journey. So.
Thanks, Katie, and thanks for all your support of the campaign. And you'll see that University of Iowa also presented at a previous FDD peer group. So if you are a participant, you can see the recording and the slides of that on the website amongst some other presenters on that last peer group. So thanks so much for that, and congratulations again to your whole team. All right, so we move on to our next award winner for energy performance in a portfolio, which is the U.S. General Services Administration, GSA. Many of you know that GSA manages the federal real estate, but you may not know that they implemented MBCX, monitoring-based commissioning, at 85 buildings, and they hope to scale it beyond that over time, up to their 1,500 building portfolio. This program is called GSA Link, and they've been implementing FDD for many years. Their experience has shown it's really interesting how they're seeing greater energy savings for the buildings that have GSA Link than others, and they're able to do some analysis on buildings that have not had this kind of analytics and those that have had. In addition to that, the savings increases over time for buildings with GSA Link. So if you look at the graph in the top right corner here, I'll explain it in a second. We have the percent reduction in portfolio energy use, and we're looking at N equals a certain number of buildings for each post-implementation year. So what we did was we took a baseline year, so that there were 57 buildings that have had at least 1 year of implementation of EMIS, and there's 56 buildings that had 2 years and 3 years, and then there's 40 buildings that had 4 years as they implemented in phases. And you can see the median or the mean savings increases each year over time as you've had the system in longer. The first year you're working out how you're working with the system, and then the subsequent years you're increasing savings over time. Now the caveat to this graph is that this is energy use at buildings with EMIS and with GSA Link. It is not attributed specifically to GSA Link because it's very difficult to separate out attribution for lots of different efforts going on. But if we look at the big picture, you see that savings is increasing, and savings actually is better at these buildings than buildings that don't have GSA Link. So that's a great story there. I'd also, like to say that it's not easy to achieve this level of savings that GSA has achieved. Their buildings aren't in a single location. They're across the country. They have different facility managers. So that's been one key aspect of what they've focused on, is having a centralized support center to help those facility managers across the country with analytics. Another key feature of what they're doing is their connection to their maintenance management system. So they have the FDD connected to their maintenance management system, similar to University of Iowa, and they're able to keep track of the resolution of the fault detection diagnostics findings across this very broad portfolio, and have this centralized team support them in that process. So they're able to avoid needing to have specific FDD expertise at every single facility with this centralized support center in efforts to scale to a very large portfolio. So we are very pleased that GSA is being recognized for their exemplary use of EMIS, and especially for this really significant levels of energy savings over the course of their many years of adoption of EMIS. So I'm going to hand you over to Chip Pierpont with GSA to share more about the GSA Link program. Chip?
Yeah, thank you, Hannah. Again, thanks for having us, and GSA is very privileged and proud to receive this recognition from CS. So thank you very much for that and the opportunity to speak. I'm going to get a little bit into a little further definition of what was shared earlier. As was mentioned, it is very difficult in a portfolio of our size to truly identify the energy savings attributed to EMIS. We actually entertained a third-party vendor, an educational institution, to do a deep dive evaluation of a 12-year performance period in trying to separate out our cap costs versus our op cost savings. So in other words, identify where more efficient equipment and other cap costs were installed, and try to extricate what was the actual energy savings associated with our EMIS efforts. And what we found, or what the conclusion was, is specific to our Schneider Ion, which is our smart metering platform, the results were about 14% reduction, and then to the GSA Link platform, our FDD platform, was an additional 9%. So what we found over the study was that we were looking at a total of about 23% savings between the two functions of our EMIS system. So that was very validating for us. We constantly are looking for ways to utilize our system more beneficially, not just in rolling out additional buildings, but we're also looking at leveraging our EMIS system to work as an M&V tool for some ESPC, energy savings performance contracts. It lends itself very well to writing the rules and using the FDD analytics to validate that the buildings are operating within scope of the contract, but also to validate the return on investment that's stipulated in the ESPC contract. So that's something that we're actively looking at this year in running 4 pilots, or actually 5 pilots across the country. So, with GSA, as many of you may be aware, we were mandated to cut our global energy EUI by 30% over a 10-year period, beginning in 2003 through approximately 2015. We were able to exceed that 30% reduction, and most of the results you see associated with our EMIS system come at the tail end of that time frame. We began rolling these out in 2012. We went pretty much live in 2014. And so, as you would imagine, a lot of these savings are coming either at the tail end of that evaluation period of 30%, or they're actually after that tail end. So this, in a lot of cases, was not low-hanging fruit, which again is another validation of how effective an EMIS system can be. I'll give a couple of overview points that I think as Iowa would validate in seeing her slide. It really boils down to 3 key areas as you engage on this and continue through. One is the IT, partnership, the constant work with IT around, the success of the tool, the maintenance of the tool, and of course the cybersecurity aspect of the tool. The second is the people part, the people piece, both in evaluating your skill set of the people that you have on staff, and also the gap analysis for where you need to go and either hire that contract support or hire those individuals that can fill those gaps to ensure that you're successful. In the people piece as well, you need to, in our case specifically, you need to really evaluate and factor in the massive culture change in instituting something like an FDD system or the technology associated with it across such a large portfolio with such a diverse workforce. So we've got close to 1,500 operators in all ranges of skill sets specific to technology and ability. So again, the people per piece is critical. And then thirdly, as Iowa mentioned and we find is critical, is the processes. And being able to come up with standard operating procedure or some kind of consistency around how your vendors or your manpower is utilizing the system to provide some consistency and efficiency in the operation and the evaluation, the utilization of the system, and also to ensure that the data that you're collecting is consistent and normalized, and that makes your results that much more effective. So again, in wrapping things up, we're super excited. We continue to add buildings to our portfolio. We have 1,500 buildings, but again, Iowa, I think, did the same thing with a pilot, in evaluating a good candidate, and then they're being very strategic in their 20 buildings and adding 29. We have 1,500 buildings. We quickly were able to identify approximately 400 of those 1,500 that utilize 75% of our total energy. So again, in looking at the deployment of the FDD or EMIS, it's really very critical that you identify, the set of buildings where you get the most ROI for the investment, as far as your return on investment for potential energy and off-cost savings. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share. GSA looks forward to continued partnership in the SIA as well as other engagements with LDNL. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully I can answer any questions at the end. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chip. We really appreciate your hard work on this, and your summary of the key areas is very helpful too. All right, so our next award winner, I'm pleased to announce the winner of the Energy Performance in a Site. While GSA was a portfolio, we have a site-level award too. The Franklin office building is located in downtown Chicago and managed by Tishman Speyer. So they started their MBCX process in 2015 using both Energy Information System supplied by ComEd, a free EIS through their utility, which was great, and FDD software operated by Seaton Energy Associates, their MBCX service provider, using SkySpark. So since starting their process, Franklin's really seen impressive savings at 9% of whole building energy use, equating to over $350,000 a year. This is an all-electric building, and so there's some great opportunity for electric heating savings. So with incentives provided by the utility, their simple payback was under a year for this overall project. The Franklin engineering team was supported by, like I said, Seaton Energy Associates, and they helped implement the software and find anomalies and keep tabs on measures after they were implemented so they persist. That's one key thing of what they did, is they not only used their FDD to find the measures, but to monitor that persistence of savings. One example measure saved $150,000 a year, and this is verified savings by ComEd or through the ComEd program. So many of the property's fan-powered VAV boxes had night setback controls that were failed. So these were perimeter VAV boxes, and so they led to unnecessary energy use during unoccupied hours, and it was very, very difficult to quantify what was really going on here, what was the extent of the problem, since the VAV box power draw wasn't monitored. So what they did was add wireless sensors to monitor the power draw of the boxes and make sure that the measure is fixed over time, and recommissioned all the VAV boxes. So this is one of their most successful measures, although this is just one of many, many measures. So I will let actually Jerry Burin from Seaton Energy Associates, who is accepting this award on behalf of the Franklin and Tishman Speyer, talk a little bit more about their building and or how they helped with them. He's joined by his colleague, Syed Suhail, and I will turn it over to Jerry. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Hannah. On behalf of Tishman Speyer and on behalf of the Franklin, we want to thank you so very much for this recognition. The Franklin has been a very exciting EMIS project to date, employing a monitoring-based commissioning data analytics platform, SkySpark. I look forward to answering questions about the project when we get to the Q&A. Right now, though, I am going to turn over further description of the project to my colleague, Syed Suhail. Mr. Suhail is our Director of Monitoring-Based Commissioning at Seaton Energy Associates and was directly responsible for interaction with Tishman Speyer and the results of this project. So let me turn it over to Syed.
Thank you, Jerry. I'll try to give a quick summary of the project before we get into some key points. So the Franklin, as Hannah mentioned, is a 2.4 million square foot, it's a two-building, multi-tenant office property that serves as the home for some of the Chicago's most prestigious businesses. When we started, the project was started in 2015. The management and engineering team of the Franklin sought an innovative path to increase energy efficiency. Although engineering personnel maintain excellent occupant comfort and achieved Energy Star and LEED certifications, they would never pursue a detailed analysis of HVAC system performance data as an optimization strategy. Engineering staff lacked visibility into HVAC system performance data that offered empirical support for operating modifications that could yield significant energy savings. So the key point is for any energy project, if you can't measure it, you cannot quantify the potential of the savings. So one of the key points is invisibility of the data streams, and that's where Hannah mentioned about adding wireless sensors in the fan power box of the which is basically the primary source of heating in the building, and it was basically all pneumatically controlled and not visible to the building engineering staff. Seaton Energy Associates helped them implement the implementation of the wireless sensors in the fan power boxes. We came up with a methodology, and the building implemented that, and resulted into great savings, which is reviewed by ComEd and incentivized as well. So we use FDD platform, SkySpark. Beside this particular measure, we implemented other strategies as well, which include fan system scheduling, damper, position optimization, and some plenum heaters, set point changes, and we provided a web accessible dashboard to the building staff as well to basically see the real time data of their HVAC system performance. And the way we used to we're still in the process, and the way we basically interact is we interact with the building staff on a daily basis, and then we have a group meeting as well on a monthly basis to basically look at all these sparks and anomalies that we figure out that they find in a given time period. So I'll turn it back to Jerry.
Thank you, Syed. I simply, in closing, want to say that really the key to success here is a marvelous collaboration with the building engineering team. Like most large buildings in the greater Chicago area, there's a chief engineer, assistant chief, and staff engineers. We had just a terrific collaboration, folks that were really interested in discovering what the opportunities were that data analytics could provide, and so it really led to an excellent result, and we're thrilled that the result generated this kind of recognition from the campaign. Thank you, Hannah.
Thanks. And this is really a great example of, a lot of times we see portfolio level savings and large portfolios using EMIS. And this is just an example of that. There's great savings to be had at single sites, and digging into the details of a single site is also a cost-effective way to go. So thanks for all your hard work on that, and to the project team at the Franklin. All right, our next award goes to the District of Columbia Department of General Services. So this award is the largest portfolio using an EMIS. They have 350 buildings with an energy information system. They've been bringing the interval meter data into what they call their Build Smart DC public website. They use that as their energy information system. This system provides an EUI, utility cost, Energy Star score where they have scores, as well as the interval meter data for that many buildings is really impressive. In addition, DCDGS has created a central network they call IntelliWeb. It's a network operations center that collects the building automation system data for 56 buildings, and then a team of engineers reviews faults and diagnoses their causes from this central location. So through this process, they've been able to institute a systematic review of, they look at the top measures they commonly find in their buildings, and we actually put what their top 10 measures are in their success stories, so you'll be able to see that. It's very similar to the top 10 that most see. So these are very common measures found for operations in buildings. And they've also, so they have three levels. They have the EIS with the Build Smart DC website. They have IntelliWeb with the Network Operations Center. And then they also have a pilot, or they had a pilot with Building IQ for 6 buildings. Building IQ is a type of EMIS that's called an Advanced System Optimization. The difference between that and FDD is that there's two-way communication with Advanced System Optimization software, so you're continuously optimizing the control parameters of air handlers and chilled water and central plants. So they're able to use that for 6 sites in optimization routines. With all this focus on data analysis and analytics and ongoing monitoring has really paid off for them. And they have really a top-level support for carbon reduction, and they have some key goals in that area. As you can see in the top right corner, again, this is the graph similar to the graph we saw before for GSA, where we're looking at percent reduction in portfolio use, and we have the number of buildings with that many years of data. So as we go on, there's fewer and fewer buildings that have 4 years post-EMIS data, but we have up to 25 buildings. And the curve looks similar, where you get the first year, you're getting things going. You have single-digit savings. And then over year after year with that focus over time and getting better at looking at the data and the Network Operations Center up and running and all that, you're getting more and more savings to a very impressive level. So we're happy to see that, and want to really congratulate DCGS for such a large undertaking. And I will hand you over to Zach Doubelbauer, the Associate Director of Sustainability and Energy at DCDGS, to give a few more words about what they're doing there. Zach?
Great. Yes. Thank you, Hannah. I also want to start off with a note of appreciation and thanks to yourself, the Department of Energy, Better Buildings, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. Claire has been tremendous in helping us get prepared for this and to participate. So we appreciate being pushed on that. And I'm also very, very thankful that I've done a number of these, and this is the first one that I've done where we're really focusing on efficiency and putting efficiency first. We've been lucky enough to do some notable renewable energy projects, but this is really fantastic, putting a spotlight on efficiency and how to leverage efficiency to drive greenhouse gas emissions down. So just to give a quick overview of the DC Department of General Services, and myself, as mentioned, I'm the Associate Director for Sustainability at DCDGS. We are responsible for the design, construction, operation, maintenance, security, and sustainability of DC's public buildings, local public buildings. So we work with our federal partner, the GSA, in a similar manner to manage public buildings in the nation's capital. We have about 30 million square feet, a little more than 400 buildings. My division is responsible for paying the bills, and along with managing the supply side, we are also responsible for reducing demand and working on the demand management. And so several years ago when this got started, it was a byproduct of progressive policy and law in the district. And so we had the Green Building Act in 2006, and then we had a benchmarking law that went into effect in 2012. And this effort sprung out of a response to benchmarking data and the Green Button Connect program. And so we've been able to leverage the advanced metering infrastructure and the next day 15-minute interval data through buildsmartdc.com to initially just do basic benchmarking of the portfolio. We've got great diversity within the portfolio, including office buildings, schools, fire and police, community centers. We have warehouses, a hospital. And so we have a diverse portfolio, and being able to benchmark across that portfolio and to really start looking at data more than 12 times a year and to start analyzing and looking at opportunities through the interval data was our first big move in really opening up and sharing transparent energy data. And the big driver on that was really evidence-based decision-making, sharing transparent data, and also opening up just data accessibility. We, as a portfolio, had a number of instances where we had smart buildings and good controls in place, but we didn't really have access to the controls. And so part of our kind of guiding principle has been to really require and implement open data standards and opening up key KPI data flows, and then on the communication and training. And so having this website and having this data and the ability to visualize it has been very helpful in promoting our own work and in encouraging greater adoption of energy savings measures. And so as it's here on the slide, the Build Smart DC is really referencing the advanced metering infrastructure and the next day interval data. We're also posting utility information, Energy Star benchmarking data, as well as some different visuals of that data on the website. And then we have IntelliWeb, where we have connected the building automation systems to 56 building automation systems into that centralized dashboard where we're doing more active diagnostic and detection work there. And then the Building IQ, where we're really looking at predictive energy optimization and, as referenced, that two-way communication for more dynamic, intelligent load control. Several of our success factors have included having strong policy and laws in place that enable this, but also having really effective partners. And I'll just go back to what has been referenced several times, how important the people are within this mix. Because we have a broad portfolio and we've had the program up and running for a while, we have different management structures, and different folks respond to controls and diagnostics and data visualization in different ways. And so it is critical to understand your operators, understand your occupants, and to communicate how the system impacts their daily life, hopefully for the better and more convenient manner. But it has been really critical in working with our facilities management division and working with our construction and design teams, and then working with the tenants and the operators at our buildings post-installation. With that, I also want to introduce Zach Wilson, who is the head of New City Energy. They act as our owner representative and internal consultant on this, and he will be available along with myself to answer any questions in the Q&A. And with that, I'll turn it over and just say thank you once again. It's an honor to be part of this, and thanks for making this such a big event.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate your involvement in this, and also, you know, you have this public website with transparency, and you've really tried to gear your different levels of EMIS to the different users. So I appreciate your hard work on all these different flavors of EMIS for different users. All right. Thank you again, and we are up to our last winner here, California State University, Dominguez Hills. The award is for innovation in the use of EMIS. So CSU has been installing 183 energy meters and mapping over 9,000 points to their BAS into SkySpark over the course of 4 years as they built out their system in phases. So they definitely didn't build their system in a single RFP or within a one-step process. They sort of pieced it together over time as funds permitted in different areas. And Kenny was really a master in pulling all that together. So Kenny Seaton is their energy manager. He relies on the FDD system for email alerts and monthly reports. And he also works with Ecovox, their MBCX service provider, to provide that support in finding energy-saving opportunities and making sure that we're tracking the performance with their FDD system. So one interesting thing to note about CSU is that it's not so much that their use of FDD and the implementation of FDD is so innovative, but it's really how they utilize it to support lots of other things they're doing, a wide variety of projects, and it allows them to innovate in other ways. So, for instance, they use their EMIS to help them validate energy savings from testing and demonstrating new technologies and control sequences. And just having the data availability through the system has opened the door for folks wanting to work with them on advanced projects and demonstrations. So they're able to say, yeah, here's our data, here's how you can see it. They have ready access to it. And that's been really a huge asset in their ability to innovate. So right now they have 22 buildings with EMIS. They continue to look at how to build that out over time. And really their innovation is on lots of different fronts, but EMIS is one of the core pieces of data transparency and being able to evaluate and monitor what these innovative projects are doing in their buildings. And I'll let Kenny talk about some of that innovation here in a second. So we're pleased to commend their excellent work using EMIS in the Innovation Award. Before I turn it over to Kenny, please keep your questions coming through the chat window, and after Kenny speaks, we're going to be opening up to Q&A. All yours, Kenny.
All right. Hi. Thank you very much. So I guess one of the important things is if you don't have this, how do you get it? And one of the ways that we did it was we started off with a new company. They were straight out of college and they had this great thing. So price was good because I didn't go with the giant guy. But we proved the concept, and we've been really big here about proving concept. First, we proved the SkySpark concept. We did one building and the central plant. It turned out so good that then we went to the utility companies and said, okay, this is what you guys keep preaching about MBCX and proving the data and all that stuff. And so we leveraged that, and we got Southern California Edison and our gas company to both kick in some money. We're part of a large university system, so then we went to the chancellor's office and said, hey, this is something that everybody should be doing. Here, look at all our great data, and we gave all these different stakeholders access to the data. There's nothing that they can break in this, so here, log in, see this stuff for yourself. that got us more money to expand the system. So we did 3 major expansions, the beginning and then 2 more after that. The other thing that we used the system, after we got the system up and running, then it was like, what else can we do with it? So then that gave us leverage to start doing metering. The system-wide, CSU did a giant RFP for Energy Information System. We were so far along that it was great. They gave us money, and we had already had meters in half the building. So we were able to keep expanding the system. For us, once the system was in place, because we could prove all this data, it was easier to get funding for it. So if you just go to your director and say, hey, I need $10,000 to do these meters, well, what are you going to do with it? Well, we're going to do meter reads and stuff. But if you could present a spreadsheet to them that says, hey, look at, well haul costs $500 a day, and if we do this, it's less, it gives you a lot more credibility and easier to find those funding sources. And like Claire said, the other thing that we had done was we were able to go to new manufacturers or large ones that had new products that had been around but not really proven yet. One of the projects we did was with Belimo Smart Energy Valves. We said, yeah, great, put the valves in. We'll give you access to the data. You don't have to rely on having somebody come down here and do the reads. We were able to get that funded, again, through a utility company, through the vendor. We're right now signing the paperwork for 2 EPIC grants where, we're getting $1 million worth of labor and services, supplies, all because we're the best candidate for the money, right? It's like, yes, you can do it. Here's all my baseline data because I've had the Ecovox stuff on there since 2014. I have all kinds of data. MBCX, same thing. In the past, when you do MBCX, and one of the biggest things in the MBCX is you only get paid out that first year in the past. And so after you do all the corrections, if something goes wrong and you don't catch it, then it's really bad. And one of the MBCXs we did, we found out that the computer, most of our building automation system for all of us out there, they're all computers, and computers lock up. Our computer locked up. We didn't know it. The front end said, hey, the building's doing what it's supposed to. Ecovox called me up, sent me an email, said, hey, your building's running for the last week, 24/7. I actually argued with them until a couple days later. I was there at 9 o'clock at night, and I walked over to the building, and it was running. If this had been typical MBCX, we'd have given up all kinds of savings, because if you don't have a problem, you don't fix it. And so there's lots of things out there that don't cause comfort level problems that we don't know about. And so the MBCX was really important on that. Overridden schedules, that kind of stuff. Every one of us, you can see the savings. IT is critical. It's been said, I can't say it enough, you need to have a meeting, you need to bring your IT department into it and actually sell it so that they think it's their idea. Because as you expand this, you're going to add more meters, you're going to add more stuff, and it's all going to go on your IT infrastructure. The other thing that the system helps you do is we're designing now 3 different new buildings on the campus, and I'm able to take this data to the meetings and say, no, you can't value engineer out the meters. And yes, the meters have to be BACnet compatible, or yes, they have to have an open API so that we can pull the data in. And it got to where this is the campus standard, so if you're going to add a new building, we have to do this. And so those are some of the other key features that this helps us out with. And it works really good for us. Start off small and just keep going. If you wait for somebody to give you $1 million, it might not ever happen. If you do $10,000, $20,000 when you have it, in 4 years you'll be done. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Kenny. That's a really great summary of what you're all doing there. We really appreciate all your hard work. And, listening to all these, I'm struck really by what a great group of awardees we have here and all the combined knowledge as a part of this. So I was wanting to sort of play off the topic you talked about, Kenny, on the business case and management and how you sold that to get funding from the EMIS. We're going to unmute our award winners right now, and would anybody like to jump in on that question on how you got buy-in from management to get going? Maybe Zach? Would you like to, Zach or Katie?
Yes. So, can you hear me? This is Zach.
Yes.
I think for us, the minute we started talking about measurement and verification is also the minute that the folks downtown or in the finance office started paying more attention to us. By moving towards evidence-based or data-based decision-making and having analytics and tools to support that conversation, our business case was supported in language and with information and data that other folks were able to understand. And so it was kind of a game changer on that front as well, where we were previously armed with anecdotal information and kind of a wish list, going to them with benchmark data and specific solutions at specific buildings, and really actionable information helped us have a business case and has been able to let us expand.
Great. That's excellent. Katie, do you want to chime into that question too about the business case to management?
Sure. I would say that this was actually sort of brought to us by our management. So we were sort of moving towards trying to do more planned and scheduled work and less reactive. And so this fit in very nicely with that initiative that we had going on in our maintenance organization. But also we leveraged other partners. So we leveraged Microsoft as an example, and we utilized their business case to make the case to do the pilot. And once we were in the pilot and had sort of figured out from our institution standpoint how this might benefit us, we were able to make a business case for doing the larger rollout. And we really tried to make it not just an energy tool, but make it a maintenance tool with an energy benefit, basically. And so it then comes down more to a process improvement tool in addition to an ROI. So we were able to kind of pair those two things together rather than just go straight for the money grab. Because in the way that our campus is set up, facilities itself doesn't really see that energy savings. So it can be sort of a tricky game when you start to talk about ROI based on energy savings. I mean, it eventually goes back to the overall campus savings, but it's a tough accounting.
Okay, so
you really tried to
you focus on the non-energy benefits as well.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey, Hannah, it's Jerry Buren. Could I give you a little bit different take on that from our perspective?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we're not so much selling to management, or that's less the hurdle than really overcoming the hurdle of gaining the interest of the site engineering team and acceptance by a site engineering team. Our clients typically tend to be single commercial office buildings with a very competent engineering team in place. We get in front of engineering teams all the time selling these optimization services, and the reaction is very mixed with respect to engineering teams, from we've done all that, and not sure we need the service, to sure, let's see what a fresh set of eyes can find in the project. And fortunately, the attitude at the Franklin, where we won this recognition today, was the latter, with a genuine curiosity about what could be found with analysis of more granular data that was not referenceable on the building automation system. So for us, the gating on these projects is less a management success than it is success with site engineering teams who are willing to take this on and are curious about what the results can find.
Great. That's actually a great segue into my next question on how you get buy-in from operations staff and using EMIS. And I was wondering if Chip could also speak to that, because I know you have this broad group of staff you're serving, and you can talk about how to get them on board with wanting to look at things maybe a different way.
Yeah, we definitely have had a struggle with getting our O&M contracting community to embrace this in a lot of locations. And some of the stuff that we've done is, one, we provided very good communication and training, on the tool itself. Secondly, we were easily able to demonstrate to them that with the power of the FDD, it really allowed them to manage their staff much more effectively. The FDD does a great job of identifying, potential causes, or zeroes in a lot more definitively on what the potential problems could be, and therefore the efficiency of their mechanic or their technician going to a potential problem is much more efficient. In addition, they see the value of being able to track all of the efforts that they make in working in the building and leveraging the FDD as a continuing commissioning tool. And so, some of them wholly embrace it right off because they're very technologically inclined anyway. In other cases, it's just the culture of that particular organization, or maybe even that technician within that organization at that site. But we have found, just through perseverance, that the FDD does provide good efficiencies to the O&M contractor or the technician working at the building, and it's really just a matter of partnering and communicating with them. And letting them see the value, how it's a win-win.
Great. Kenny, do you have anything to add to that as you've worked with your staff on getting buy-in and then also, working with the service provider?
Yeah, I think I have buy-in from most of my staff, although they don't have the time to really play with it. But one of the things that I've been able to use it for is that those monthly reports show that we have a lot more problems than the director really knows about. If he doesn't get complaints, then he thinks everything's going good. And so I was able to use the monthly reports to actually increase my budget to a outside facilities control contractor. I have the monthly report sent to him, and then I get him once or twice a month for 8 hours to come out and whittle down on the list so that we kind of keep up. And that gave me the justification to say, hey, I need money in the budget next year because I need to be able to maintain these things, because here's the savings that we're showing. Because, we have, 1.2 million square feet and two refrigeration and 2 BSEs, and they're not going to be able to do it all. So whether they buy in or not, it's the right way to go.
Great. Combination of support. All right. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. I wish we had another 20 minutes for Q&A. We'll have to sort of continue this on another webinar. It's been a great discussion, and congratulations to all the award winners. I wanted to thank you for attending, and also just mention again next steps. If you are interested in joining the campaign or learning more, or for existing participants, refer a colleague, just let us know. We'll follow up with them. Remember to submit your participant actions. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Those are the links there. So feel free to reach out and get involved in the campaign. Congratulations again to the 5 organizations recognized here today. We'll be doing awards again in the fall, and you'll get to apply for those or hear more about what other folks are doing. So thanks again for your attendance, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.